Good afternoon. Shawn here with Accelerators Organization, ready for another mentor session. Lots of questions today. I think there's around 10 to 12 questions. Super excited that you guys are asking questions. That's what we're here for as mentors. Anybody got one of these on their shirt? This is the most won't I will fist pump. If you want to get one of these hoodies, just shoot Shirley a message, and we've got some of these red ones in stock now. Okay, let's get started with the questions. The first question comes from Selena, and Selena says, what is a good way to develop a business plan? The background is I have a service-based business, tattoos, and I have a ton of ideas and fragments in text, but I really don't know the first thing about writing a business plan. What should I include? All right, I've got about 9 different mentors answering this for you, Selena. In the portal, in the online training section, Peter Kozadoy, one of your mentors, did a 4-hour masterclass on writing your first $1 million business plan. Go through that first and see if that answers your question. If you have some additional questions after that, just let us know. Obviously, we've had this question before, so we did a masterclass and made it easy. The next question comes from Carrington, and Carrington says, are landing pages a good way to expand your reach and get people talking with you? The background is I run a brand photography agency focusing on helping brands grow through content creation. I always hear about landing pages and that it's the new way to generate leads and to increase traffic by including an offer of sorts. Is creating a landing page something that would be beneficial, and if so, what are the first few steps to take when creating one, and what would potential offers be that convert? All right, I got about 7 or 8 mentors answering this one for you, Carrington. This is a really complex question that you're asking. Unfortunately, it's just not a simple answer. And I am not an expert at the design and flow of landing pages, even though I have some. But I can tell you from experience as a business owner, working with people that do this, people like Gabs, people like Jesse, and the people that are really high level expert at doing this. It's not cheap to do, and it's not something that we can do on our own unless we want to spend years, literally years, going through all of the things that they did to become experts. It would be like me saying, how can I become an amazing brand commercial photographer for product in the next week or something like that? Where should I get started? We have to kind of pick and choose our battles in our business of what we are going to be expert at and then who we can hire to do these things for us. I would not in any way, shape, or form recommend to anybody who has their own business for them to try to learn how to be an expert landing page creator, graphic designer, high-level email marketing person. These are skills that take years to develop. Hire those people. You're looking at somewhere in a budget of $5,000 to $10,000 just to get started in putting together those types of things. Because think about it like a website. A landing page is a website. In order to put together a website, what do we need? We need copy and we need imagery. And then we need to understand the layout and flow of the page. 90% of the work is done before you even start putting together the landing page. In fact, I would say if you had all of your content, all of your imagery, you understood your strategy, you knew exactly the audience that you wanted to reach and all those things, putting together the landing page might cost you about $1,500 if you approached someone like Jesse or Gabs or somebody like that to just put the page together for you. So it all starts just like with branding. It starts with, I've got to understand my strategy first. I then have to put together all the imagery, the copy, the voice, have a focus of where I'm trying to take this thing, and then you get it to the person who's going to take all of that strategy, all of those assets and copy, and put it into a landing page. It's a very, very complex situation. It's not as easy as just putting together a landing page. Now let's throw the hardest part into the equation. You thought that was hard. The hardest part is not even creating the assets and the strategy and the actual page itself. Now you have to figure out how to drive traffic to that page, which costs money. Hiring an online advertising agency to start driving traffic towards your page, you're probably looking at a minimum of $2,500 a month just for the agency fee. And that's going to be for a beginner type agency. A legitimate company agency that's been in business for a while, probably more like $5,000 a month. And that's not even including your ad spend. Your ad spend is going to start off at about $50 a day until they can find the right audience that gets you the right conversion rate and the customer acquisition cost, right? So this is an entire journey, and I know this because I went through it, and you guys have probably heard me tell the horror story. I spent about $40,000 total between a couple different advertising things last year for AO, and I got pretty much no response. It didn't feel good, but I had to know, and I learned what we did wrong, and I learned what I'm going to have to do right. So I'm basically getting everything ready to start doing another launch of a campaign using Jesse here in the group, starting sometime this summer or in the fall. But this stuff is very complex. To answer your question specifically, yes, landing pages can be effective, but it's not just the landing page itself. It's a lot of things that go into it, okay? All right, next question comes from Ricardo. And Ricardo says, how do I start a grand opening for my business? Are there any tips I should do or know before doing so? And do you think it's important that I do one? The background is I started my business in 2020 and never did a grand opening. I want to do a grand opening. I want to know if any mentors have experience with this. Also, planning this can help prepare any future events. Any type of advice helps. Thank you. I've got 3 other mentors answering this. I couldn't think of any specific mentors that I knew that had done grand openings. I've done a grand opening. I had my marketing person contact the local newspapers and the Chamber of Commerce. And the Chamber of Commerce worked with us to do what's called a ribbon cutting, and they brought out a ribbon, and I used these big scissors. I've got a picture of it. Used these big scissors, and we did a grand opening, and we got the team involved and all those types of things. It was nothing more than a team building exercise. It didn't get us any new business, and that wasn't even the reason for doing it. It was just to do something for the team and to get the name out there a little bit, but it didn't do anything from a tangible perspective for our business. It might for you, I'm not sure, but I would get the Chamber of Commerce involved, let your team participate in putting together the event, have some good food and drinks for everybody, non-alcoholic probably, and then just have some fun. The next question comes from Ricardo, and Ricardo says, how do I start a continuing education program for my business? I have an idea of doing an event every quarter and charging other barbers to attend as well. The background is I have a plan to start an educational event once every quarter, helping other barbers learn new tips and tricks. I would charge them for attending if there's any marketing strategies I should do before starting something like this. Okay, I've got about six mentors answering this for you. The number one thing I would do is start networking with other barbers in whatever type of radius that you're looking to market this to, and just start determining if there is actually a need. Just go out there and do some what's called market research. Talk to barbers, see if you can get their first name, last name, email address, phone number in order to start communicating with them, and maybe put together a private Facebook group for everybody, and just start seeing if there is enough real interest. See if people are going to want this from you. And if so, do what I've done with AO. AO, a lot of the things that we do in AO are member driven. Things that members have asked for, things that members want. I constantly survey and do market research within the group to figure out what's going to best help people. And they tell me, and then I go, okay, cool, I can do that one, and I do it. In fact, that's how all of our events started. All of our events, like BusinessCon, it was originally BusinessCon, then AO Live, and now it's Summer Social and Winter Social. Those all started from members saying, hey, Shawn, let's do an in-person event. And I was like, if you guys will pay, I'll bring in coaches and mentors, and we'll do it. And so I say go out there and build up a group of barbers and start asking them, would they be interested in this and what it would look like? How much would they pay? How often would they want to do it? What are things that they'd want to learn? Is formal continuing education something that's required by a barber? And if so, how can you get your events to qualify as real, legit continuing education? I'm sure that there are some rules that you have to follow and places you have to apply to be able to become an approved educator for continuing education. Okay. All right, the next question comes from Robin, and Robin says, how much time would you recommend blocking in for networking with potential prospects? The background is, with 7 upcoming art shows I work on producing. Do you think working on location as an artist all weekend would be an acceptable amount of time to allocate for prospecting? I've got about 6 or 7 other mentors answering this for you. Your question is, how much time would you recommend blocking in for networking? As much time as you have possible. Are you here to make money and grow a business, or are you not? It's that simple. Do as much time as needed. Do as much time as you have available until you're reaching your goals. It's such a generic and vague question. I want you thinking, I want to spend as much time networking and as much time selling and as much time marketing in my business so that I can make more money and hire more people and do more marketing. So the answer is as much as you can do. Now, to answer the second thing you put in the background, is it an acceptable amount of time to allocate for prospecting? I think you're focusing on the wrong thing here. It's not the amount of time, it's the amount of results that you get. I can't tell you if a weekend is worth it if it doesn't get you any money, any sales, any new contacts, then it would be a complete waste of time. So start figuring out in your business what results you can track and measure those against the amount of activity that you put in. Quit being passive, quit being vague. Start working in numbers. How much time did I work? How much money did I get paid for it? How many contacts did I get? Start keeping track of data. Okay, this is a common theme of a lot of people that are startups, is they track things based on emotion as opposed to results. The only thing that matters in business is results and data. That's going to help you determine what is best. Make sense? Keep us posted, Robin. Okay, the next question comes from Mark, and Mark says, what process would be best to define leap of faith assumptions when trying to bring a product to market that has never been developed before? The background: currently developing a non-technical data analytics tool, quote unquote business intelligence, for small businesses to be able to readily have access to data analytics. We are currently in the period of uncertainty of who our initial target audience will be. Currently working on developing a minimally viable product that encompasses KPIs that most businesses would find useful. We are looking to gather attention off our basic KPI framework for most businesses. After defining our key assumptions on a target audience, we'll look to present the current MVP and further refine the KPIs to that particular industry/business model. I have absolutely no idea what you just wrote for this question. This sounds like a computer generated something. It doesn't sound like a person actually talking. Woo, baby. But I'm going to try to decipher this because that's who I am, all right? I've got a bunch of other mentors that I'm going to give this to because maybe they're a hell of a lot smarter than I am and they can understand what it is you're talking about. But I'm going to try to break it down into English instead of jargon, and I'm going to try to break it down into a question that's better answered, okay? What process would be best to define leap of faith assumptions? I don't even know what that means. I've never heard of leap of faith assumptions, so I don't even know how to decipher that. But I want to dig into your background because you said something that is so backwards in building something that it's not even funny. You said we are currently in a period of uncertainty of who our initial target audience is, but we're still trying to develop a product anyway. Why in the world are you trying to develop a product for something that doesn't even exist? That is so backwards. And I think you and I talked on the phone about this. Do you not like people? Like, I know you probably must love just sitting in front of a computer and never having to talk to anybody, but businesses solve problems. That's what we do. In order to develop a solution to a problem that a small business owner is having, why in the world are you not talking to small business owners? Talk to small business owners. Figure out what problems they're having and determine if you can create a solution that would solve their problems based on a budget, a pain point that they would pay to alleviate that pain point. Quit going backwards. You're going to keep spinning your wheels. You're thinking like a computer developer and programmer instead of an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur solves problems. Go find the problem by talking to people that you know you eventually want to sell that solution to. You're doing it completely backwards. Completely backwards. Okay? The best solutions or the best companies are developed by people that said, I just saw a problem because of people that I knew and clients that I had, and I just developed it and sold it to them because they told me they had the problem. That's how I created my last company, and that's how I created AO. I created AO because there was no organization like AO, and I had spent hundreds of hours on Instagram talking to tens of thousands of people that wanted business mentorship. And I kept saying, go try to find a mentor, go look for organizations. And they kept coming back and saying, there is nobody, Shawn. And I was like, well, fuck it. I'll just create the company myself. There's an obvious need. So do the same thing. Get out from behind your computer and go talk to some small business owners and ask them, what are their pain points? Then you're going to find out what minimum viable product you need to develop and then bring them into the whole idea around building a software as a solution is to get beta users. You get beta users so that you can then streamline a product until it's ready to become a minimum viable product. You're trying to make everything up all yourself and anticipate and assume what people want. That's the biggest mistake you could be making, in my opinion. Go out and get 10 or 15 or 25 beta users, which means you're going to have to convince them of the theory of what you're trying to accomplish, and you're going to ask them for their time to be involved to be this, which means you're going to need to give them an incentive to even be involved in this beta testing. But you get them involved in the beta testing and you start formulating what would be the MVP. That is how software companies do it. Okay? Get out there and talk to some people, Mark. Get out from behind your computer, my brother. All right. Next question comes from Gabriella. And Gabriella says, should I validate my service and business process before offering my services to the public? The background is, I am a prospect finder. I help independent professionals build their success network by reaching out to their ideal prospects. I've been working with my first client. I'm enjoying the learning experience. She is also enjoying this opportunity to do something she's never done for her business. This service contract covers a 3-month period. I would have preferred to teach her the prospect finding / contacting process. This would have enabled me to dedicate time to reach new prospects. I feel like this experience is giving me a better way to market my service before sharing this with a large group of connections like my social media contacts. Okay, I've got about 9 other mentors answering this. I'm very, very interested to see what others say about this. But we've got a lot to dissect in your question and in your description. Should I validate my service? Yes. Always, when developing a business, it's great to validate that there's truly a demand, that the offering that you have is what customers and prospects want, and that you have it priced correctly. And the only way to really find that out is to get out there and validate it. This is called a feasibility study or just doing some good old-fashioned market research. But you say, should I validate my service and business processes? No, business processes are internal. That's internal. You don't have to get a customer to validate your internal processes. You want them to just see what they are going to get and validate that your product or service meets their needs. So you're not going to get them to validate internal business processes, okay? Now, you got a lot of terms here that I've been in business for over 25 years that I've never heard these terms. I help independent professionals. I don't know what an independent professional is. I would need to understand what that term is because I've never in my entire life heard what an independent professional is. So I would find more clarity of what that is. Small business owner, demographics, what type of client is that? I don't know what an independent professional is. Build their success network. I've never heard the term success network. Maybe I am out of it, but I have never in 25 years heard the term success network. I have heard that I help business owners, find more business. Like that is easy to understand and clear. I think if you said to people, when they ask you what you do, I help independent professionals build their success network. I would love for you to do some market research and talk to 10 people that don't know you, and you tell them that's what you do, and then see if they can guess what you actually do. And I'll bet that the majority would have no idea, and they'd be guessing. So I would work on your framing of the words that you're using to explain and describe your business. Let me give you an example. AO. A lot of ways that I could explain what AO does. But the vision I have for AO is to help entrepreneurs struggle less and succeed more. Very simple, right? If I told somebody I have a business that helps entrepreneurs struggle less and succeed more, then the natural question would be, well, how do you do that? I go, great question. We help entrepreneurs get to their first profitable 7 figures in business. And then they go, cool, well, how do you do that? Well, we do a lot of different things. We provide access to over 35 diversified, proven business mentors and coaches. We have an online platform, a mobile application. We do 5 monthly Zooms, and we give the ability for our members, these entrepreneurs, to ask questions at any time in our web portal and get individual personal video answers from our mentors. Very easy to understand, right? So start working on how to explain your company in a way that anybody, a child, a senior citizen, anybody would truly understand what it is that you do. This is very important stuff so that people can determine if they want to be a customer, or B, if they might know somebody who could be your customer. If we make it difficult or vague or ambiguous and they have to try to think about what we do, probably not going to help you. But if they clearly understand what you do, then it makes it easier for them to determine if they can do business with you or send you business, okay? The next thing, I'm enjoying the learning experience. That's great. She's enjoying this. And then you said she is also enjoying this opportunity to do something she's never done for her business. I don't understand what that means. You mean she's never had clients? She's never gone out and tried to get business? I'm a little confused there. And then you said this. You said I would have preferred to teach her the prospect finding, contacting process. So are you in the business of being the lead generation company for your clients as a prospect finder? Or are you here to teach companies to do it for themselves? That's where I'm confused, okay? So these are the things that I would work on. I would go into the portal, into the resource center, I think I'd go into branding. It feels like you're still trying to develop what it is your brand is and what it does. And there's a brand strategy guide in the branding section that you could look at and start going through. You could also go into even the starting a business categories or business planning and start reading through a lot of those things to figure out like your elevator pitch, your unique selling proposition, all those types of things to help you clarify what it is your company does, how you do it, who you do it for, and what makes you unique. And these are all part of the brand strategy, part of your initial business planning, okay? If this evokes some other questions, get in. I really want to help you with this, Gabriella, because I'll tell you this. If you are an expert at finding leads and prospects for companies, I can tell you about 200 AO members that would love to find somebody that they could pay that would go get them customers. Almost every business wants to find more business, and if you are the prospect finder, man, you could be basically minting your own money. Okay. All right. The next question comes from Bob, and Bob says, "Is leading with price the best way to start a sales conversation with a prospect? The background is I am promoting a software and services package that is dramatically less expensive than competitors. At the top of my funnel to get prospects on demo calls, should my messaging be focused just on price? The goal of my business is to make cybersecurity tools more accessible to organizations by reducing total cost of ownership. The existing solutions for the niche I work have high costs for software licenses and services. I'm developing a super lightweight software solution to solve the same problem at 20% the price of other options. My target companies would have 3,000 employees and my solution would be priced at 20,000 versus 100,000 by competitors." All right, I've got about 8 other mentors that I'm going to have answer this, and I am really, really anxious to see what they say because I do have my answer. First off, no, leading with price probably is not the greatest way to start your sales process. Even though people are going to watch this on the replay, I know that you were on our monthly Zoom that we did last night on sales, and we talked a lot about what things that you could be doing to develop your sales cycle, your sales processes, your presentation, all those types of things. But leading with price is definitely not the way to go. First off, you're targeting companies that have 3,000 employees. Most of the people that you're going to be talking with are, you're in big, probably publicly held companies or huge companies that have big board of directors and blah, 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 blah. You got to find out in your sales processes is where is the pain? Do they have budgetary? Are they looking for ways to reduce their budget? You could ask probing questions like, how much, what is your budget that you spend on XYZ software, blah, blah, blah. You could say, because you're an industry expert, I know that companies your size spend over $100,000 a year on this. I've developed an alternative solution that solves all those same problems at a fraction of the cost. And I'd like to set up a time to come in and take a look at what you're doing, how you're doing it, and if you were even open to the opportunity of switching. Big companies, Bob, as you probably know, they don't move quick because it's not just one person that's going to be involved in that transition. Jonathan, who is going to answer this for you as well, is a good person to talk to. When you're going to try to implement software solutions in a large company, there's going to be teams involved in this. There's a huge transition period and process that has to be done. And yes, companies like to save money for sure. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So leading with price, people would probably go, well, duh, of course we'd like to save 50%. But what's involved? So your sales process is going to be a lot of relationship building. Secondly, why would I want to offer a solution to companies that are paying $100,000 and only charge them $20,000? That just doesn't even make sense to me as an entrepreneur. Why couldn't I charge $70,000? It's still a 30% savings. That's a lot of money. Why do you want to sell yourself short and only do it for $20,000? Like, I would probably work with your pricing model and determine from your customers what they think it would take for them to switch. If the only reason that somebody would switch from an existing solution to you is price, that worries me. Because the companies that are already providing it for that company What stops them from going, oh, you have somebody that wants to come in and displace me as a vendor, and they're going to do it for 20,000 over 100? I would be like, how many customers do they do business with? What does their financial statement look like? How many employees do they have? How many people have they done this for? Because we are a billion-dollar company and we provide this for over 250 Fortune 50 companies. If we can't do it for $20,000, how would somebody else be able to do it? I'd be concerned that they don't really know what they're doing. So you could potentially be working yourself out of a prospective client, because that's what I would say if I was the competition. There's no way they can do what I do for 20 grand for 20% of the cost and have all of the exact same features, the same service level agreement, the same uptime guarantee, the dedicated account executive. Like, I'd have a whole grid of what you're not going to do that we do. So sure, they might be able to do part of what we do for 20,000, but that's because they're only doing part of what we do. These are things that I would be figuring out. I think going out to the market at 20% of the cost of what somebody's already paying to deliver the same solution, why not charge 100,000? If they're willing to pay 100,000, why not get the 100,000 and just do it better? So these are big strategy type of conversations that need to be had. My guess, Bob, based on seeing you on the sales Zoom last night and this question, I would highly urge you to get a business coach. Not me. I could help with strategy and things. I'm really dangerous with these types of strategical types of conversations, but I would look to do business with someone like Dan with his company Urgio. It sounds to me like you really need some deep dive, high level executive coaching in business principle and strategy coaching, or you're going to go to market the wrong way and you're going to get yourself in trouble. I want to keep you out of trouble, okay? All right, next question comes from Carrington. Carrington says, how do you optimize your connections at networking events? The background is, I run a brand photography business in Massachusetts that helps brands grow through content creation, and I have been attending a fair amount of networking events, meeting people, one-to-one follow-up meetings, trying to expand my local connections and to get to know more people. I have given out many referrals and gotten thank you emails from people for booked clients based on my referral or connection, but haven't seen a return yet come on my end. What are some long-term and short-term strategies to improve my networking relationships? I don't expect a change to happen overnight, but I would like to improve in the networking world. Thanks. And all right, I've got about 8 or 9 mentors that are going to answer this for you. Well, the first thing that pops out to me is maybe you're going to the wrong networking events. Like, if you are looking for specific customers that have e-commerce businesses that own their own products and they're looking for a commercial photographer to photograph their items, I would be going to networking events for people that own e-commerce stores and have products that they're selling on their stores. That's where I would network. Because I could go to a traditional brand, a traditional chamber of commerce, or networking events for regular business owners or women groups or things. But if none of those people have e-commerce stores of where they've developed actual products, none of those people are even on my target list. I think I'd be wasting my time. So I want to make sure that I'm attending events in which there are a percentage of people there that actually are my target client and prospects. So that's what I would be doing. So yeah, I think that's the only advice I have on this one, is just to make sure you're attending the right networking events. I wouldn't say it's a big situation for you to attend lots of networking events if you have the time, but be sure that you maybe even ask for introductions. You might ask in your networking with somebody, and you ask them, hey, watch the Zoom that Dan did last night, because he talked a lot about asking questions and just being there and showing a genuine interest in other people. And then what happens is, naturally, is the law of reciprocity kicks in and they go, oh, well, Carrington, what do you do? And you say, this is what I do. And then you could say, if you know of anybody who has invented a product, has an e-commerce store or anything, can you think of anybody off the top of your head that you know of that has a product? and what have you, and get people thinking. Make sure that you're asking that specific question. And if they do say, I would love an introduction, even if they're already working with somebody or whatever, it's always good to meet more people, and I'd love an introduction, and ask for it. That's what I would do. Okay, next question comes from Cheston. Cheston says, how can I create a bigger sense of urgency around making money? Background is, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 plus years, have always made just enough. Sorry, give me a second. Oh, dang it. The lighting was good when you were on, computer. Give me a second. Sorry. Lighting was good when the computers were on. Okay. Sorry, the background is, I've been an entrepreneur for 10 plus years, have always made just enough, but have never really had a strong desire to make more than just enough. Yes, I want to make more, have more, and be more, but there are obviously some serious mental hurdles haven't been able to overcome. What mindset shifts do you recommend to go from being not money motivated to I can do, have, and be more with more income? What are different ways to look at the issue that could be motivating or exciting to me as opposed to just make more money? Are there different objectives you've experienced that are just as rewarding as having a big bank account that motivates you and inspires you? I've got about 10 or so mentors to answer this one. This is I think the first time this type of question has been asked, and I'm interested to see what everybody has to say. I might even tell my assistant Honey to make sure that she forwards me these specific answers, because this is a good question. My answer is I have no idea, Cheston. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist or a mindset coach, and that's just not my expertise. I have just always been motivated by goals. And my goals have always been about I like achieving new heights in life. And it's actually one of the things that I have found that actually make me happy. One of the things that makes me unhappy is not growing. I actually become very restless and anxious when I'm not doing something new or trying to reach some sort of new goal. I get unmotivated. I get depressed. I get uninspired. And I see that affects my entire life. I might overeat. I might stop exercising. I might stop traveling. I might stop doing a lot of things that I know I love. So I've learned that about myself, is that I always love to achieve something new. And it doesn't necessarily mean more money, but usually it's attached to money, just because I've always been money motivated. It's just been something that I have felt internally since I was a 12-year-old kid. I've always wanted to make a lot of money. As I've made a lot of money, I realize that there's always levels to the game of having a lot of money. Like, I go to dinner with Tom Black sometimes, and he brings wine that is worth $2,500, and we drink $10,000 worth of wine in one night. That's people's 3 months of most people's just monthly nut, and we're drinking that in wine in one night. And that's not even the highest level of the game. So it's like, once I get a taste of something cool, like once I got my Bentley, I'm like, I'm not going back and driving a Ford Taurus that I used to drive. Now, I don't have another aspiration of another car that I want to buy besides my Bentley, so I'm good there. But I don't know if that motivation can be. Here's if I had to stretch my imagination around the idea, I might look at myself and say, what more would I like to do for the world, as opposed to what more would I like to do for myself? Like, how would you feel good if you stroked a check for $1 million to a charity? Would you feel good if you stroked a check for your parents to pay off their house? Fine. Those are the only things that my mind goes to. Like, I just know that the quality of my life from a monetary perspective always goes up, because I naturally want to build more wealth in order to enjoy new things. Now, of course, there's still a lot of same things I do when I did when I was broke. Like I still enjoy Taco Bell. I still enjoy, junk food, and I still enjoy just laying at the pool and doing nothing. And I don't have to stay at 5-star hotels. I stay at okay hotels, and I still fly coach, but there's still levels to the game. So the thing I would end out with this, Cheston, is this. Maybe there's no reason for you to want more money. And maybe there's no need for you to make more money. Maybe it's okay to just have enough. But I can tell you right now, there is a sense of pride and a sense of amazingness that comes from saying, I don't have to work. Like, I don't have to. I've got enough money in the bank that I could live off the interest, properly invested without taking too much risk. I could live off the interest and never work again and maintain the same quality of life doing everything that I want to do off of the interest of that money. So if you haven't gotten to that point yet to where you could literally close all your businesses, stop working any jobs you're working, and just live off the interest for the rest of your life, I think that that's pretty damn perfect. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I could quit everything and live off the interest, but I wouldn't be able to stay in this house, and I wouldn't be able to do some of the things that I do, and that's what keeps me motivated. I want to be able to live in this house. I want to be able to live everywhere where I live and never have to work again, and there's a goal that I have, and that's I want to work because I love doing AO and I love being a mentor and I love doing this, but I want to do it 6 months a year. That's it. I want to do it 6 months a year. In the other 6 months, I want to disappear off the grid, and I want someone else to run AO, and I want to just disappear. I want to be off the grid. I want to take my pets, travel the world, and just be off the grid. Spend time with only my friends and not do any work at all. It's been a goal of mine for about 10 years, and that's what I'm working on. And I'm hoping to be there in about 3 years so that you'll only see me 6 months of the year. And then people might actually appreciate me and say, I want to see you more than 6 months a year. And I'm going, no, you only give me 6 months a year. So that's a goal that I have. So maybe that's a goal that you set. Whatever goal you want to set, you don't have to be motivated. You don't have to be inspired to do more, be more, all these things you're talking about in your question. Maybe you're just happy. Maybe you are one of the most luckiest people in the world that you have everything you want, you're doing what you want, and you don't need anything more. I'd say that's pretty damn good, man. I'd say that's pretty darn good. I wouldn't push you to be more or want more or do more if you said, I am completely happy. The only question I would ask you is well, what happens when you are done working? Are you going to have enough money saved up to where you can retire and live off the interest? And if the answer is no, I'd say, well, cool. Well, do you want to get there faster, or do you want to just keep going slow? If you said, well, I want to get there faster, I'd say, well, cool, then let's go ahead and get motivated to get there faster. How much money do you need? How much money, more money would you need to make? What are the opportunities that you have? Let's get going. If you said, I'm fine waiting until I'm 90 years old to work before I can retire, I'd go, cool, as long as that makes you happy, man. That's all that matters. Everybody's journey and everybody's story is different. So I think don't worry about the way that I live my life, or Tom lives his life, or Heather lives her life, or John lives his life. Create the life that you want and love it and be happy, and that's all that really matters. All right, I hope that helps, man. A very introspective question. I like that one. And you know what? I think that was... Oh, wait, no, you have one more question. And the last question comes from Cheston. And Cheston says, what steps should I take to get the most out of my VAs from a productivity and take ownership of the task/project perspective? The background is I have several VAs I work with, but I always feel like I'm doing a poor job of truly taking advantage of their skills and abilities. I feel like it's a bit of the chicken or the egg in that I don't always have clearly defined processes in place for the objectives I'm trying to accomplish. So I hope they can help create the processes, but the results typically fall short of expectations. Also, I feel as though they spend way too much time sitting around waiting for me to give them their next task or assignment. I recognize that some of this is due to my own lack of clarity around next steps. Is there a way to have them help me work through this lack of clarity? I'm sure some of this depends on the experience/skills of the VAs, but are there steps I could take to to find truly valuable VAs and resources to help with the growth of the company. Oh, I got two people that are going to answer this for you. Brad Stevens, who is the VA expert, and then Todd, who has a bunch of VAs. I love that you not only found the problem, you self-diagnosed, and then you self-prognosed your whole issue. You are the pure definition of a control freak, 100%. How do I know this? Because you are a control freak to the max. You are I will figure it out. Now, you're asking a question, so I love that you have finally resisted the temptation after years and gone, I can't figure this out. Maybe this Shawn guy is actually onto something, and I need to ask how to do it. But everything you wrote tells me you are a control freak and have never gone through leadership training. Because we go through this leadership training, everything that you just described, this is exactly what we spend a whole weekend on. And here's the funny thing. Some of our members who have turned mentors, they've come to multiple leadership events where we've taught them these things, and they still don't get it. They still ask the same things that you're asking, even though we have talked till our faces blue about how all this stuff works. So I'm so glad that you asked this question. And Cheston, please start coming to some events. You will start learning more on how to run your business and do these things. Now, a VA is not your business partner. The reason that people use VAs is because they're looking for cheap labor and people that can just process tasks. These are not strategic thinkers, okay? You're not going to get strategic thinking from a VA. Now, you might get lucky and find one who's really, really good that says, hey, Cheston, we're doing this, but I was thinking, could we do it this way? Because I think this would make more sense. Now, if that could happen, I'd be really, really surprised. So I wouldn't expect that to happen. But a VA is there to do exactly what you want them to do. So you said, well, maybe the problem is me. Yes, the problem is you, my friend. The problem is you. If you have VAs there that are ready to do work for you, why aren't you just documenting some processes and giving them the work and saying, here, do this, and I want you to let me know when this is done every time you do it. You can set up any types of check-ins and accountabilities and things like that as often as you want. Let me give you an example. I have a process when we're doing this new thing where we're offering people a chance to belong to AO for 30 days. So I had to write an entire process for Shirley, our connection manager, and Honey, my virtual assistant. So that said, here's what happens. And I'm gonna pull it up. I'm just gonna read it to you so you can understand how detail-oriented this stuff has to be. Give me 1 second. If I can actually get Microsoft Word to actually work on my computer. There it is. Okay. So Microsoft Word. Mine is called Process for 30-Day Member. So listen how detailed. It's basically 9 bullet points. And I'll walk you through this process, okay? The first thing, prospective member is told to join the Facebook group. Shawn will ask their first name and last name to match up the request. And then I put a link to the Facebook group. Number 2, after joining the Facebook group, they are to book their onboarding Zoom. And I put a link to booking the onboarding Zoom with Shirley. Number 3, once the request for the Facebook group comes in, accept the request and welcome them to the group, which you see those welcome things come from me or Shirley usually. Number 4, once they book their onboarding Zoom, Shirley will forward that email. We receive an email receipt of the actual appointment that was booked where we ask all of these data point questions. Once they book their onboarding Zoom, Shirley, because the email comes to Shirley, Shirley will forward that email with the trial member's information to Honey at her email address. Honey will create their account in Entreport. For A, follow training, quote unquote, create 30-day trial member in Entreport. There's an actual other training, which is a video that I actually created. I did a video where I showed exactly how to create a member in our CRM. And I recorded that, and I have a link to that right there. Number 5, Honey to add a task in Ontraport for following up task for conversion. And then I have see video tutorial on this. Number 6, Honey to create WordPress information so they can add themselves to the member directory. Honey, there should be a training and trainual for that. Number 7, Honey to create user in mobile app for member. Use the same username and password for AO Portal. 7A, follow training on, quote unquote, username and password retrieval for AO Portal. And there's a video for that. So within trainings, there are other trainings to reference and refer to. Number 8, using the email template, Honey to email trial member their credentials for A, AO Portal, and B, mobile app. And I have another Word document called Copy Templates where all of the templated emails are in one massive document by pages, so she can just go to that copy template, copy and paste, enter the information, and it's good to go. And I wrote those. She just follows it. She doesn't have to think. She doesn't have to think about anything. She just follows the steps. Number 9, check completion boxes for member in Ontraport. 4A, and there's a video that shows exactly which boxes to check. So now once this process is done, all the video trainings and all the templates are all done, now for me, all I have to do is my part, which is get the prospective member to join the Facebook group, get their first and last name, tell them to join the Facebook group and book their onboarding Zoom. Once they do that, all of those other things get done and I don't have to do anything, nothing. Everything else just is processed and it gets done. So think of anything and everything in your business that your VA could do and just spend a day documenting all those processes. I use Loom, which is Loom, loom.com. It's free to record screen shares of my computer. I can do audio or visual or both. All of those types of things can give your VAs more time to do things. Your VAs are over there. They want to do more work. They're just waiting on you to give it to them. That's their role. You own the business. You're the visionary. You're the leader. Start acting like it. Give them things to do. It's that simple. And then they're going to make your life easy by just following the processes and just getting it done. And that's what you want them to do, right? That's what being a leader is all about. Being a leader isn't doing the work. Being a leader is getting other people to do the work. And so be a great leader. There are people that are going to love to do the things that you don't want to do, all right? Okay, I hope that helps. This was a great mentor session. Lots of great questions. As you guys know, all you have to do if you asked a question is wait for Honey to send you an email based on the processes that I put together. She's going to download this video from Facebook. She's going to upload it to YouTube. She's going to get a transcript. She's going to get an audio file. We're going to get that put into the portal. We are going to then email you based on the copy template, an actual email that says, you asked this question, this mentor answered it, here's a link. All of that is proceduralized and Honey just gets it done. How awesome is that? All right. Have a great day, night or morning, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you on the next mentor session. Have a great day. Peace out.